Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama Strategy Session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama Strategy Session. Hello, welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a mom of 4 now. So I had a little girl in July 3rd. She came a little bit earlier than planned. And today I wanted to share my birth story because it is special. It is a unique birth story. So if you listen to one of the previous episodes that talked about that I'm having a planned C-section and the reason why. So quick story, I had a C-section with my first unplanned, and then I had 2 home births that I had some complications with where both of my boys severely got stuck in the birth canal. And so for the safety of the baby, the midwives told me next time I need to have a C-section. Well, that was really not what I wanted to hear, yet I knew that's what I needed to do, and I really wanted more like a gentle C-section. I did not want the regular C-section where you have the drape and you don't get to see what's going on. I wanted a more gentle experience. And so when I was pregnant this time around, my sister-in-law sent me this video on Instagram. It must have been done in a different country because just the things in the OR look different. But what was happening was that they had the C-section and the drape was down and the baby was pulled out halfway. with the head and the shoulders out, and then the doctor guided mom's hands and she put them under the baby's armpits, and she was able to pull her baby out from her belly and put the baby right on her chest and just have the baby lay there. And it was this sweet, amazing video. And when I saw that, I'm like, I want that. Man, I want that. But where can I find an OB here in the States that would do that? I don't know of anyone that would do anything like that. And I started to look for an OB because before that I was just doing my prenatal care with the midwives, and I knew that I still needed to find an OB that would be doing the surgery. And it just so happened the first OB that I reached out to and that I had a virtual appointment with, I told her the birth experience that I want. And she's like, well, I've never done it, but I'm not against it. I don't see why not. Why we couldn't do it. The biggest thing is the concern for the sterile field. We might have to figure things out, how to go about that. But she's like, I want mothers to have the birth experience that they want. And we're going to have to, talk about this with our, birth team and see what we can do. And so it was months, but they got to have meetings at the hospital, and the director called me, and they got to, we had a plan that I would have sterile gloves on, that these like clear gloves that would go almost to my armpits. And she did the surgery and she opened me up, she will pull the baby out a little bit, and then they would lower the drape, and I would be able to reach down and pull my baby out of my belly and put her on my chest. And it would be more like a gentle experience. It would be more bonding. It would just be a lot more unique than just having, the drape up and the baby pulled out and just the baby taken away. And this way the baby will be right in my chest and I get to hold her and bond with her right away. That's the experience that I wanted. And we were able to plan this out with the OB and the birth team and the director of the hospital, which was so, so cool. And I was so excited that they are willing to do that because the hospital never did anything like that. It would be the first experience they would, with me, anything unique like that. And the plan was to have the surgery right at 39 weeks. At July 8th. That was the plan. And because I had already a C-section with my first, and the rules that they have at the hospital is that if it's a repeated C-section, it cannot be done before 39 weeks. It has to be at 39 weeks or later unless you go into labor yourself earlier. And I asked the OB, I'm like, well, what if I go into labor early? Because I had my second and third at 38 and 39 weeks. My concern is, what if I go into labor earlier? What about this whole birth plan that we have? She said that, well, I can't really expect everyone on the team to come in, everybody who's part of the birth team, to come in and on their day off and do this type of surgery. And that was very scary for me because I'm like, well, what if I do go into labor earlier and then I won't be able to have this experience that I really, really want? Well, guess what? It happened. I did go into labor early. And that was really, really hard for me because I tried mentally stalling the labor and just kind of like relaxing and laying down a bit. And so the labor wouldn't progress, but guess what? It still did. And we showed up at the hospital in the middle of the night on the 3rd because my body just went into labor and I could not stop it. It was just happening. Obviously, if you're a mom, you know what that's like. There's no way. If the baby's coming, there's no way to stop it. So we showed up at the hospital. my OB that was going to do the surgery, that was her day off. She was not on call that day. It was middle of the night, and we showed up there, and since I was at 38 weeks, they had to make sure that I'm in active labor before they would consider doing the C-section. So they had to check my dilation, come back, check it an hour later, and yes, I was making progress significantly. So they're like, yes, we're going to have the baby today. My doula showed up.
Hey mama, if you're listening to this episode and you are enjoying the content, would you do me a favor and share this episode with a friend that really needs to hear it? I would really, really appreciate it. Also, come follow me on Instagram under Emotionally Healthy Legacy. If you're struggling with stress and you feel constantly overwhelmed and you find yourself reacting again and again and again, check out my 5 strategies to reduce overwhelm. If you go in the show notes, there's a link for you to sign up and you'll get it in your email. All right, let's get back to our birth story.
Then they had the on-call OB come in, and I was telling her, I'm like, hey, I had this really specific birth plan. This is what I want for my birth. Is there any way we can do anything close to this? And obviously this doctor has no idea about my plan and everything that was planned ahead of time. And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Like, it's obviously way out of her comfort zone. She's never done a surgery like that. And me just throwing that out on her, she was just not comfortable with it. And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I got so emotional. I got so upset. I started crying, and I'm like, I had a specific plan. We planned this for months with my other OB. I'm just so disappointed and discouraged that I can't have the birth that I want. I was really, really upset. And honestly, I was probably quite rude because I was in labor and I was in pain. Obviously, I was dealing with active labor during this and dealing with this emotional discouragement of my labor my birth not happening the way I want it to be or planned it to be, because I'm a planner and I like things to go to as planned. I was so discouraged and upset. And I'm a nice person to begin with. I'm kind and I'm not really rude. And when I'm in labor, I'm not myself. I am definitely a lot more snappy, and my tone is a lot more rude. And my husband kept trying to help me calm down and help me be more kind. And I'm like, I'm allowed to be rude if I want to. I'm in labor. I have an excuse to be mean if I want to. Yeah. Anyways, what happened was that OB walked out, and 5 minutes later she walks back in and she's like, hey, I'm on the phone with your doctor. She is an hour away. Would you be willing to wait for another hour for her to come? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I will. I'll wait another hour and be in active labor. I don't care, because I wasn't in the transition point yet. So I knew I wasn't at 8 centimeters yet. I was probably 5 or 6 centimeters. I was in active labor, but it was tolerable. The contractions were about 5 minutes apart, and they were definitely tolerable. And so I was like, yes, I'll wait another hour for her to come. And so, oh my gosh, right away I had this huge sense of relief. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy that she's coming in, because I do get to have the experience that I want to. And she did come in, and then we still had to wait a little while because the OR was taken by someone who needed to go in there right away. Anyways, by the time we came from the hospital to the time we actually got into the OR, it was 5 hours. And that's okay. It was okay. We got into the OR. They did the spinal block and everything. I got to lay down. And so they put the drape up, and then they put these long, clear gloves that go up to my armpit that were sterile. And then they put a sterile towel on my chest. So I got to put the gloves, my hands on my chest, and wait for the surgery to start. They started the surgery, and I was asking her to just kind of let me know how things are going as she's cutting through the layers, because I studied muscles and I studied in physical therapy school. I studied all of that, and so for me it's not gross, it's interesting. I know all the layers, so it was really cool. And then they put the drape down, and she's like, I need you to reach down and pull your baby out. And she had the baby out halfway, so her head and her shoulders were out. And then I reached down with my hands, and I was able to pull my baby out of my belly and put her straight on my chest. It was amazing. It was so awesome. I mean, I loved it. I know for some people this is gross and they would never do anything like that, and they don't really care for a birth like that. But for me, that's as close as I could get to more like a natural birth, and it was an amazing experience. And then I got to hold her on my chest, and they just did delayed cord clamping and wiped the baby down as she's on my chest. I got to nurse her right there in the OR, and they didn't like rush the baby away from me or anything. It was so awesome and amazing. And after like a couple minutes, they put the drape back up, but the baby got to stay on my chest. After a little bit, I started to feel weird and woozy, and it's probably from all the drugs that were in my system. They had like a bunch of antibiotics. They had the spinal block. They had other weird things hooked up to me, and the IV, and it was just a lot. And I think my body's just so not used to medications, and it was just having a really hard time with it, and I was just not feeling myself. And yeah, after a little while, I asked them to take the baby just because I didn't feel comfortable holding her when I wasn't feeling well like that. And they took her, they measured her, my husband went with her, the doula stayed with me. We got to videotape the birth experience. It was just, I don't know, it was amazing. Honestly, I just loved it. And thinking back to it, I'm like, I am so grateful I got to have an experience like that, because most moms don't, who have a C-section and who don't want to have a C-section, but they have to, which was the case in my story, because it was just not safe for me to have a vaginal birth based with my previous 2 home births. I'm just so grateful that I was able to find an OB who was willing to go out of her comfort zone to try something new. I am so grateful that the hospital was on board and they allowed this birth experience. I really hope that moving forward they would allow this for other moms, because I know there will be other moms that wish they can have an experience like that. And I'm so glad that I got to do it. It's just so neat. It's different. It's unique. It's special that I get to pull my baby out of my belly, put her straight on my chest. It was just so sweet. And having a little girl, every time I pick her up, I'm just so delighted. I am honestly so, so grateful to God for giving us a little girl, because last summer we lost a baby, and it was a little boy. And of course, a miscarriage is really, really hard. And I have an episode about my miscarriage story and how I dealt through that. It is obviously really, really painful, but God has showed up, and we got a surprise. We got a little girl. I'm just so sweet. And we named her Nellie Elizabeth Love, because we had a hard time picking out the first name, a name that we both liked and agreed on. We did not have a name picked out going into the hospital. We did not have a name picked out when we had her. So in the hospital that first day, my husband's like, just pick a name. Just pick a name. We had it narrowed down to Violet and Nellie. And he's like, just pick one. And I got to pick the name. And in the Russian culture, your middle name is your dad's name with like a different ending. And so my name is Elizabeth Benjaminovna, because my dad's name is Benjamin. And all my boys, they have my husband's name as their middle name. So his name is Yuri. So my oldest is Ethan Yuri, and then Matthew Yuri, Philip Yuri. And we wanted to put my name as the middle name for a little girl. So it's Nellie Elizabeth. And both of our moms, their name is Lubov. In Russian, Lyubov means, if you directly translate it, it means love. And so because both of our moms have that name, and now we have a little girl, and this is our last baby. So the plan is we have Love as her second middle name. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful to God that I got to have this birth experience. I am so grateful that it's a little healthy little baby girl. I'm in love with her. She is so beautiful and she is so, so loved. I am so grateful. Honestly, I just don't even have the words, and I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed because we went through hard seasons in our marriage. We went through hard seasons with losing that other little boy last summer. We went through hard things together with my husband and our family in the last few years. And it's just a sweet blessing that God has given us, this sweet little girl. Honestly, every time I look at her, I'm just amazed and grateful. Honestly, super, super grateful. So that's my birth story. That is my birth story. It is unique. It is special. I love it. It's such a beautiful experience. And I know not everybody gets a chance to have a birth like that. And I'm glad that I did. I am so grateful. So, if you're a mom and if you have to have a C-section, see if you can find an OB that will go out of her comfort zone and is willing to have an experience like that for you and for the hospital. And maybe moving forward, that hospital will be able to do it for other moms as well, because that is really, really sweet and unique. Anyways, this is it for my birth story. There's another episode in here that talks about my postpartum journey and how things are as a mom of 4 now, and how the postpartum is affecting me emotionally and the struggles that I'm going through. So if you want to, you can listen to that episode as well. And just this one is more just like a story and an encouragement that if you really, really want something, you can get it. Because I would watch so many videos on Instagram, a bunch of different videos of very similar birth experiences like this. And I was visualizing that and I was thinking about it a lot. And I got to have it because I believed that I could. And you can too if that is an experience that you want. Anyways, I will see you next time, ladies. Bye.
Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.